Hello all you lovely mudlarkers, wishing you a very happy Christmas. Tobias has asked us to show you a few of our favourite finds, so I thought I'd start with this little one. It's one of my tiniest finds, really small. It's a pilgrim's badge that would have been worn by one of the pilgrims doing a long walk to a site of pilgrimage, usually a cathedral. In this case, it is 1350 to 1420, and the pilgrim would have been heading towards Salisbury Cathedral to celebrate the lives of Edward the Confessor. He'd have worn his pilgrim's badge on the top of his hat, or the brim of his hat, or possibly on the lapel of his cloak. And it's basically a symbol of good luck for the journey and thanks for a safe trip. When he gets to the end of his pilgrimage, he throws it in the River Thames, which is where I found it many years later. As you could see, it's a tiny little crown. The little top part's the crown. So that's find number one, pilgrim's badge. Find number two is this. It's an eagle claw pipe. Very pretty little pipe. You can see the talons of the claw. Some people call it a chicken's claw or cockerel claw. Some people call it hawk, some people call it eagle. Considering there was a lot of bird baiting when this was made around 1880 to 1910, it could well have been chicken's claw, cockerel claw. I love this pipe, absolutely beautiful. Find number three is this little item. It's a bodkin made out of bone. I'll hold it against my hand so you can see it a bit better. If you look at the top, there's a little scoop there, which is basically an earwax scoop. So when people were using the bodkin, they would either use it to thread a ribbon or to thread a little piece of string or thread. And if the thread was frayed at the end, the earwax that they'd gathered using the little loop on the end could be used to smooth off the edge of the thread so that it went through the hole easier. This dates to approximately the 1500s, and there's only one other example in PAS. Well, sorry, there's no other examples of bone, but there are a few other examples of metal. So it's quite unusual to find one made of bone. Lovely Thames anaerobic mud has preserved that for us. Here is this chap. He's a Georgian door knocker in the shape of a devil or a scary figure. He looks very similar to something painted by Blake or Dürer or Michelangelo. Dates approximately 1810 to 1850, and there's a very similar one in Florence belonging to one of the Medici family members. He's designed to scare evil doers from your house, so you don't knock on the door unless you have good intentions. Find number five here is this. Absolutely beautiful, made out of pressed brass. Hold it against my hand so you can see it better. It's a little penknife, pistol grip in shape, Rococo in style. And it would have been used, probably one of the original penknives, to sharpen quill feathers for use as pens. I just find it such a pretty colour and shape. So pretty. And when I found it, this little bit of pattern was just sticking out of the mud, all beautifully highlighted in the sun. It looks so pretty. Okay. And the last find is one I'm very excited about. Literally only got it in the last few days. It's a Saxon coin. Here we go. This one is King Burgred of Mercia. Oh, don't know if you can see that clearly. King Burgred of Mercia. Saxon coins really don't come up very often in the Thames, so I'm very, very chuffed to find this one. That's the other side. I hope you can see that. Anyway, that's my finds to show you. Wishing you all a very, very happy Christmas, and thanks for watching.
Hello, I'm going to show you 3 objects today which I've been fortunate enough to pick up on the Thames foreshore purely by eyes only searching. The first one is a cloth seal. Not an uncommon find. You find a lot metal detecting as well in the countryside. These were fixed to bolts of cloth and textiles as they were traded around the country and internationally as well. It dates from the post-medieval period. What is rather nice about it is, I hope you can see that it has got an exact date of 1666 on it, which is quite unusual to have one dated so closely. So it's a 17th century cloth seal. As I said, these were fixed to cloth. You can see on the other side there is a rivet there which would correspond to that, and a connecting strip, so it would have been bent around the cloth in a sort of pincer movement by there. Sometimes they were used for tacks or for identifying where the cloth had come from when it was imported. This has just got a merchant's initials on it, IS or SI. At that period the I could also be a J, so it could be someone like J. Smith, John Smith, Johannes Schmidt or something like that. We'll probably never know who the IS or SI was, but I think it's very interesting that it's dated 1666, which, as every school child knows, is a very significant date in the history of London, being the Great Fire of London. Obviously this wasn't there during the fire, or it would have melted, I expect, but it probably represents a huge rise, a flood of imports which must have occurred after the fire to replace all the clothing and textiles and fittings that were lost during the fire. So it's sort of connected with that event, which I really like. Going back in time a little further, my second item is this piece of medieval jug. It is part of the highly decorated tradition of medieval jugs, which are quite high status, large jugs which were used at table for serving. It's mill green ware, and it dates from 1270 to 1350, when we have this explosion of highly decorated table jugs which were used at high status tables, or maybe in pubs and taverns, that sort of thing, for communal drinking, serving large quantities of drink. You can tell it's medieval not only from the green copper glaze, but also the fact that the clay itself is full of gritty inclusions. It's a red clay which has been reduced in the kiln, so the core is grey because it hasn't been fired at high enough temperature. You can tell it's mill green ware, mill green in Essex, rather than a London-made jug, because I don't know if you can see really, but it's got little flecks of mica, which are very small shiny inclusions in it, which is can be identified as coming from clay found and fired in Essex. So I like that, I like a bit of clay. And my third object is Roman, again ceramic, this time a tile or a tegula, but very interesting in that it has a procuratorial stamp on it. The stamp has been made of wood. You can see the grain of the wood impressed on the object there. By procuratorial I mean that it's come from an official tile works, that is owned or run by the Roman government itself in London. It's got part of the stamp on it. The stamp in total would read PRBR, which would stand for Procuratores Provinciae Britanniae, the procurators of the province of Britain. So it's rather nice to be able to have something from the Roman period which actually mentions Britannia, or the province there. So it is imagined that this tile works was run by the government for producing tiles which are used in large public building projects around the Forum or a bath or something like that, or a governor's palace, because these tiles tend to be found in that sort of location. They're not very common. I think about 200 plus are known with stamps. This particular stamp, I think 8 examples had been recorded the last time that they did a census of those tiles, and it dates to the period of around 80 to 120 AD, so for a Roman object quite a close dating. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing these rather lovely finds, and thank you for your time. Bye.
find. There you go. Look at this. Okay. Just gonna drop my iPhone. Look at this. You know, as you know, they don't come up very often. Roman coins of the Thames these days. They can be quite rare to find. And it's in such a great condition. Happy day.